Hello, everyone. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all. So I don't know if you're realizing this, but energetically, the past 2 weeks have been rough. And maybe subconsciously you know this, but consciously you're not. You think it's only you and you're struggling through things. And there are multiple reasons for this. I had spoken a week ago about the fact that in order for you to ascend and elevate into a higher consciousness, you have to die in the 3D world, and all of your habits, all your attachments that are connected to the 3D reality have to die in order for you to elevate into the next phase. And this death process, what I call the mini deaths, occur intermittently, because if they occur all at once, over half of the population of the planet will simply drop dead in one instance, because we wouldn't be able to handle this disconnection, this unplugging. It has to happen incrementally, slowly, but it's still happening at an accelerated rate. And so there's a physical sensation and symptom to this. And I spoke about this last week, that there was a sensation at time whereas I'm walking around and I'm doing things, and then suddenly I feel like I'm about to faint. Like if I lean into it, not only am I going to faint, but if I lean into it, I could die instantaneously. And I know this energetically in my body, and I have to make a great willful effort to say, no, I'm not dying. I will live. I will pass this. And there are multiple of these little things that can happen. And again, a sense of, I'm fainting, I'm getting dizzy, or I'm about to collapse. There's a strange wave of vision of demise, but it's momentarily that passes over me. And I have to say, no, I'm not dying, but it's a part of me internally that's getting disconnected to 3D and allowing whatever is emerging, which is still part of the unknown, whatever is part of the expecting landscape of the 4D and 5D to emerge and to come out and to move toward me. And so, having said this kind of repeated itself for me for months now. But over the past 2 weeks, it has accelerated in a way initially I did not understand. Now I have a better explanation for it, and it has to do with solar flares. There are, well, from the last time I checked, there were 5 sunspots all around the sun that are ejecting CMU, coronal mass ejection, okay? And they are different, they are from X class, which is the highest class, to M class, to C class, that are spewing out plasma and even photon in all kind of direction, and some of them have released glancing blows at the Earth. Now, when these events occur, scientists, normal scientists, are concerned about electrical grid and satellite that are in space, because if it's strong enough, it may cause a blackout, because a giant electromagnetic pulse or CME can actually disrupt all electronics. But it's not just because, and what it does is that when it releases the sun, because the sun is a billion times bigger than the Earth, when it releases from the sun and it goes toward the Earth is protected by its own magnetosphere. It collides with that magnetosphere, and it begins to deform it. These charged particle begin to collide with it and cause it to, on one side, to collapse where the CME is pushing against it, and then it elongated in the back end. And it causes aurora borealis to happen in northern hemisphere. I remember several years ago when the solar maximum, because the solar pole flip every 11 to 12 years, when the last reversal was occurring, there were aurora borealis even upstate New York. I saw them. I didn't understand what it was at the time, because I was not looking at east, and it was past around the time the sun set, and there was a glow, a kind of amber glow that was everywhere in all directions. I didn't understand what it was initially because I've never seen aurora borealis that far down. And later on, when I went online, that's when I discovered that's what it was. But I remember driving to town and thinking to myself, because I was going north, I'm like, what is this light? It looked like literally like it was the sun. And so that's one of the symptoms. But what most scientists are not talking about, it's the fact that we human beings are also electrical by nature. And therefore, when these charged particles are passing through the magnetosphere and the atmosphere of the Earth, it causes us as well great discomfort. So you could have lack of sleep, disruption in your sleep pattern. You could be having dizziness, the sensation that you're on top of a roller coaster and the roller coaster just dropped, like you're walking down, all of a sudden your heart just drops. And the sensation that things are moving all over your body, migraine headache, or sensation that something is buzzing around you. Okay? Literally, like there are insects that are buzzing. You can hear it in your ear or ringing in your ear, or is buzzing around you. All in all, it's not a comfortable sensation. And I have to say to you that the sun is not trying to kill you, not necessarily. It's trying to unroot. It's the demolition crew. It's trying to disconnect you and unroot in you. You're where the 3D grid is connected to you at a cellular level. And one of the meditation I have to keep reminding myself when these events are occurring is to lean into, connect to the sun, and say to the sun, and the ascended masters or Helios and Vesta, ask them, as you connect to them, to cleanse and purify your body in the best way possible, and to disconnect you to the 3D grid, and to open you up so that you can receive the ascended energies. And then you release and you let go. Don't resist it. That's what I'm trying to say. When these things, of course, this is not the time for you to exercise, to overexert yourself, to be overly ambitious physically. It's a time to drink lots of water, to rest, and take naps if you can. Okay? I also know that during that time, right now, there are multiple youthful individuals in their 40s and the 50s who are dropping and are dying of heart problems. Now, they may have had pre-existing conditions, but because it's so strong right now, this is what's going to take them out. I've heard of several, at least 3 people that I know who have had that happen in the past week. So I just want you to be aware of this and understand that the struggle is real. And if there is no resistance to this, and if you can allow yourself to step into it and say to the sun, whatever you're doing, do it. I'm accepting the cleansing and the purging because it's a purging. I'm accepting the cleansing and the purging with grace. And I welcome you and do it in the best way possible and make sure I become clean so that I can welcome the higher frequencies. Because what the sun is doing is that it's demolishing what no longer is needed so that we can be rewired. A lot of the people who are having heart condition have electrical short circuiting in their heart, and they're being rewired into something else. Okay? So it's the rewiring that's taking place. But it's happening so quickly that your body cannot accommodate or adjust it the right way. Or the heart valve or heart equipment that you may have cannot adjust it. I heard from two people today. One has a scheduled surgery for a heart murmur. Someone else is in the hospital. Someone has just died. All of this happened in the course of several days, of a few days now. Oh, and somebody else as well, 54 years old, died. So I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm trying to make you understand that if you've been feeling like you're struggling, like there's a different, it's like you're moving through mud. It's very hard to do simple things. It is exactly because of this. Okay?
Pierre,
Yes.
do you know if there is a solar flare going on today?
I didn't check this morning, Ursula.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm sure yesterday there was, for sure. I think what it is that the flares, if there is no one today, but once the flare is released from the sun, it takes several hours, if not days, before it actually collides, depending on the speed of the release.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
Because sometimes it takes like a delay of 24 hours before it actually collides.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes. So there is a lot of very strange things that are happening right now that we should be aware of, and we should take caution not to overexert. Because I have a lot of friends who are exercise fiends, and they are gym rats and all that, and this is a time for you not to overexert yourself, because you will giving the electrical disruption. It may cause you to go into a crisis or even die for no good reason, but you trying to overdo it, overcompensate. So be aware of this. Watch your body. If your body feels it's tired and you have the luxury of taking a nap, take a nap. Relax. And all of this is leading to, is actually helping the rewiring of our DNA. Our DNAs are being changed and altered to allow the junk DNAs to regrow into a 12-string DNA system, where we will become a multi-universal being, meaning that each of the strands of DNA is formed by a word of power that created a separate universe. Listen carefully to what I'm saying. Each of the strands of our DNA is actually created by a word of power that originated from a different universe. And therefore, the scale from where you are as a limited, small little, clay vessel into that being is a tremendous jump. A multi-universal being is a tremendous jump. It's not going to happen all at once. But right now, the jump to 5D is difficult enough. And thus, we have these moments where we find ourselves struggling. We find ourselves feeling not completely centered. I have to tell you as well that in this process, over the past 2 weeks, I had some profound insight in my weaknesses in my spiritual psychology, because it wasn't just the physical symptoms, but I also had deep, and because I've been going into my morphogenic listening, my heart listening state, and I've had a lot of profound breakthroughs about where I am and what I have not been doing and where I was lacking in my spiritual psychology, and I'm making adjustment to create the change that are necessary going forward so that I can be better and more resilient and elevate myself as a better spiritual being. So all in all, it's like the year started with a bang, in a sense that there are all these things that are showing up, but I don't feel like in 2022, whereas I felt more like I was a victim. In this instance, I don't feel like a victim anymore. I feel more empowered. I have much more knowledge and much more understanding as to what's going on. And I feel I'm ready to help co-create the change that needs to happen for me to evolve into the next piece of my spiritual evolution and growth. I have to say to you that the DNA stuff is happening around the planet. When in 2008, I channeled the DNA reconstruction process, and I gave it to the planet at the WESAC we did in Hancock, New York. We spoke about this last week. It was revolutionary at the time. There were very few of us. It was Susan Cowley and Kathy Gerbert and I that were doing it initially, and then a whole bunch of other people joined in afterwards. And a lot of changes occurred. I spoke about some of the changes last week. But for the next phase to be installed of this growth, because now the whole planet has to elevate together, the sun is doing a purging and a cleansing. And a lot of things that are not aligned needs to be flushed out, needs to go. So this is where we are right now. I've had, as I said, I'm hearing, and over Christmas, there was this one person in Miami, friend of mine, had called me with a heart problem, heart murmur, emergency room situation. Now he has surgery scheduled. Things have escalated, and surgery schedule. Someone else also, and as I said, enough people to make me realize that, okay, this is too many coincidences to be a coincidence. There are too many of the same thing that I'm hearing for it to be just a coincidence. And I know what I'm feeling in my body as well. This is where the rubber meets the road. I can feel it in my body. I have to say that at the moment, I am so empowered and so connected that I feel like I'm extremely tall and big. And I feel like I'm this multi-universal being. And there are moments where I drop back down into my humanity, and I can feel like I feel vulnerable. So I'm oscillating between the two extremes. At the moment, I am completely empowered, and at other moment, I'm oscillating. I go back to me feeling vulnerable and feeling this is a strange sensation I'm feeling in my body right now. So if you find yourself in these extremes, it's okay. This is part of the process. It's like you're going to oscillate. It's like a pendulum swing going back and forth, and you're going to oscillate back and forth. And at some point, the default will set up to you as a multi-universal being, or at least first as a higher dimensional being, and then eventually as a multi-universal being. So I don't know if any of you have had any of the symptoms or sensation that I'm talking about. If any of you want to share anything and talk about what you're feeling energetically, you may do so at this time.
I spoke about my experiences last week. I guess in addition to the feeling I expressed about having to remember how to walk, or the feeling that I do when I'm walking down the street, or feeling almost like I'm not all in my body.
Yep.
Aside from that, fatigue. So I think your point is well taken to take more naps and rest.
And drink lots of water.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm woefully behind.
Yeah, no. You have to drink plenty of water, because you have to have, in order for these things to flush out, these old geometries in your cellular structure, in the center of your nucleus, there has to be liquid. The liquid medium has to flush it out, and the reorganization and the recreation has to come. We're 90% water. You need to drink lots of water. And I was not doing it, but I've been doing it for the past week now, because I was feeling worse and worse. And the moment I begin to drink the water, I begin to feel better, actually.
Good.
It's not perfect, but it's better. It's better.
Right.
So make sure, again, take the naps. And there are times out of nowhere, I'm doing something, all of a sudden I feel like somebody just unplugged me. My battery just went from being 100 to being, all of a sudden I'm 75, 50, 25, and I can feel myself like passing out. I'm like, okay, even for 30 minutes, I have to lay down.
Okay, yes, that's true. I thought it was my blood sugar dropping or something.
No.
Saturday I couldn't focus. My brain was not taking in information to process. Yeah, and just the energy to even try was more than I could do, and I did have to step away for half an hour and just chill.
Yes.
Fell into deep sleep.
Yeah. Take 30 minutes, just like take what I call a power nap, and then wake up and then continue to do what you're supposed to do.
Right.
If you can afford to do it, yes. Not all of us can do it, because if you're in an office where other people are there, you can afford to do it. But if you are working from home and you are able to do this, then take the nap and then come back and continue what you're supposed to do. Even if you have to extend your time for the day, but at least you will function.
Well, thank you for that, because I began to think I have some kind of blood sugar imbalance.
I thought the same thing. I thought of blood sugar, or for me, that it was a blood pressure. Because the sensation is literally like I can't keep my head up. Like my blood pressure was going whack, and it's not blood pressure, it's not blood sugar, it's literally energetic.
Interesting. Really good to know. Thank you, Pierre.
Yeah. And so it's a matter of, again, it affects different people differently. Some of the people, it's they can't sleep at night at all, or there is still sleep disruption. And then when there is so much sleep disruption, when you, after not sleeping for 3 or 4 days, during the day you can't function correctly. You become very foggy because of the lack of sleep.
Right.
So you become completely disjointed. Like again, the sensation that you're not completely in your body. This is what I mean when I say it's like I'm walking through mud. I'm walking through a different medium. Like it's not normal medium.
Right. Right. Oh, I'm glad to know that it's not just me, that it's part of what's going on. So
Yeah.
then you can take the steps necessary.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And again, sometimes the idea is to sit in the stillness. Sometimes I go into meditation for like, if it's not sleep, even sitting down in my meditation chair and then just stay quietly and stay in the stillness for 30 minutes. And then once I feel better, I can get up and do other things. Because otherwise I can't function. My body, in other words, move and do everything pianissimo.
Adagio, lento, lentissimo.
Yes. You know, just like, you know, take your time. Because otherwise you will cause yourself to go into a crisis for no reason. And then you also get very emotional. Again, particularly when you're not digging deep, because I'm going in, and I'm looking deep, and I'm discovering all kinds of things that were up to that point unknown to me. I'm thanking the sun. I'm thanking the universe for giving me this opportunity to see this, because I didn't know it was there. But I'm discovering all of these things about things I've been doing for years that are not for my highest good. And I was doing it subconsciously. There were deep, ancient, old programs about worth, about value, about all kinds of things that were buried inside of me that I didn't know were there, and the behaviors were destructive to my ultimate ascension that I need to release and let go.
Pierre, would you say that not everybody will be experiencing these things, that some people, for whatever reason, don't react or don't have these symptoms?
I think depending on the level of the solar flare, okay, and the duration and how long it lasts. When I remember years ago when the aurora was all the way, when I saw it upstate, people in Alabama in the South were seeing aurora. During that time, everyone felt it, but most people don't know how to label it.
Right.
It's not, I don't think people they don't have the refinement, they don't have this class to tell them this is what they're feeling.
Right.
So they feel something, but they don't know how to qualify what they're feeling. Do you understand what I'm saying? And to a degree or another, some of us are more advanced than others. And the people who are more advanced may not have, because each one of us has a different stage of evolution. What I'm holding, you're not holding, et cetera, et cetera. So you may feel something very specific to you. Some other people, it might be just a buzzing or a migraine headache. Some people might feel the off-center thing. I know because I feel it too. Like I'm walking down the street, I feel like I don't know how to walk anymore. Like my leg, there's one leg I seem not be able to pick up the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Yeah.
And it's a weird sensation. It's my body, it's my leg, and I feel like it's like somebody else stepping in my body is trying to, the two legs are not coordinating correctly. So some people may not feel this. They might feel something else. They might feel the buzzing around their face and their ear, or the sensation that something is crawling on their skin. People will react differently depending where they are.
Okay. But if somebody says they don't feel any of that, could it be that their consciousness level isn't tuned, or that they're so far advanced in their consciousness that they absorb it without incident.
That's beautiful. I bless them. I'm sure there's somebody in the planet, there are people in the planet that are in that state. I wish I was there. I'm very happy for them. This is a blessing. This is great.
I don't know if that's the case. I was just asking.
No. It's completely feasible. There are billions of us, of course. It's completely feasible that there are people who are that advanced that they are very low to reach there's little for the sun to demolish because they've already done all that hard work. I happen not to be one of them.
No, neither.
Because I have things that I still have to work on. And so again, the lack of sleep, the disturbance, all of that, it's the solar flares. And they've been going at it. The sun is bombarding us. As I said, there's a solar map that I saw. I think there were 6 or 7 spots that were all over the sun, that were all flaring up and releasing CME. And even if they are not directed at the Earth. When they are released, they create, because so many of them are being released, they create an environment around the entire, because the magnetosphere of the planet extends quite a bit, it creates an environment that causes. Now scientists are saying this. There's a guy a psychiatrist in Palm Springs that wrote this book called the Solar Apocalypse, and he contends that when the solar flares begin to release, it will cause a mental health crisis. Because one of the other things that happened with people when the solar flares are really big, and like the last time a few years back, something like 5 years ago, when it went to maximum, and people who work for neurologists and etc., I can tell you this, people started having brain seizures. They would go to a neurologist claiming headache or buzzing or all kinds of things in their head, and when you do EEG, you would see that they're seizing. And it's again electrical disruption of brain function. Because of the collision, scientists or normal scientists will not make the correlation. But they are only concerned about electrical, power grid, satellites, and etc. They are not concerned about us as human being electrical by nature.
Mm-hmm.
But there is that part as well, to an extreme where people are beginning to have, again, the minor seizure of the brain. And of course, they give them drugs to regulate it. My way of dealing with this is to basically connect to the sun and say to the solar logos to welcome the energy of the sun inside of you. Because the reason the seizing and the weird sensation is because we are resistant. The 3D part of us wants to hold on because we are attached to it. So if we go in and say to the sun, I am ready, I'm willing for you to dismantle what's needed. I'm yielding to you. You will find that you will feel better faster.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah. And again, if you can afford to take the naps, take the 30-minute nap. I don't, it's not necessarily nap. Sometimes I just go into deep meditation. I'm in stillness and I surrender and I do deep breath control. And when I do the breath control, one of the things that I do is that I do the torsion field.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that has happened for me for the past 2 weeks is that I went back to doing the torsion field several times a day. It's making a dramatic difference for me in my alignment and me coming to terms with what I need to do and the certainty that I've been lacking for the past year, because that has been my problem. Giving all of the stuff that are happening around the world and in my life, all the insecurities, is that I'm lacking certainty. I don't have enough clarity and I don't have the certainty anymore. And I realized that during the past year, what I was not doing, and I did it almost none for 2022, I was not doing the torsion field on a daily basis. Now I'm doing it 3 to 4 times a day. And it's literally 12 breaths. And the more I do it, I'm sorry, Janice, go ahead.
Pardon me, I would say the shortcut then that you can do, not the full version.
Yes, yes. Yeah. I mean, I could play the recording and all that. I don't play my own recording when I'm doing it. I just take a very deep, slow breath from the core of the earth. I move it to the bottom of my feet, let it move counterclockwise and exit outside of my head, release and let go. And it goes into source. And then I take the second breath from source and have the energy clockwise go inside of me and go into the core of the earth. And I do 12 of those.
Yeah.
And by the time I am done, I am in alignment. Things are simple. I'm back in my center. I talk to the sun, and I'm okay. Things are beginning to be pulled back together.
Good to know.
There's so many events around the world that are now causing, and I'm not talking about social and political only, but weather pattern, weather change, all kind of crazy news about death and people dying, all kind of crises, all kinds of things. And it's a bombardment. It's a fusillade. It's coming from everywhere. And it's creating, because prior to 3 years ago, none of that stuff was around. And right now, because of the odd place we are in right now when we are transitioning into the new earth, that kind of bombardment is causing insecurity in my clarity and alignment, and also a sense that the clarity I used to have, because years ago, it was like I was so clear about this is the practice, this is what I do, this is, and everything was aligned like clockwork. All of a sudden, somebody took all of the gears of the clock and they've thrown them all out. And I don't know where I am. So when I do the torsion field, it pulls everything back together for me. And it allows me to sit in this geometry and this understanding that I am supported, I am safe, and I am in perfect alignment with Source. And when that happens and that occurs, I am not only where I'm supposed to be, but when I'm counseling somebody, when I'm coaching somebody, when I'm doing healing for somebody, I am better. Because everything that I've spoken about in terms of miraculous things that happened between me and clients and me and students, all that happened because of the torsion field technology. That torsion field technology is key to everything. And when I am connected to it in that kind of like spirit, I go back to where I know I am protected, because each torsion field that's created is a field of neutrality and non-interference. So we are in 3D. When you call the Guardian Alliance of Light, the first one creates the first torsion field, it's 4D. The second one, the second torsion field, it's 5D. The third one, third torsion, 6D, and so on and so forth, and 12 of them until all the way to 15D, and at which point you're in source, you're outside of time and space. And at that moment, everything sinks in. The serenity of God, the peace of God, the rest of God sinks in. And then you're able to be better at what you're doing. you are able to function better and to be in alignment. And once I create the torsion field, it remains like I remember a couple of days ago, even in my sleep, I could see the torsion field. I could feel the alignment because I did it multiple times throughout the day. I mean, you can do it while you. I used to do it all the time. I used to do it almost like a, you know, I'm walking down the street. I can do it. When I used to go to the gym and do yoga, I do the standing tree, the tree position on one leg. I do the torsion field on one leg. I go on the other hand, on the other side. I do the other, the right side, the left side, both sides. I do the torsion field, each one of them, and I do it so often that it was with me all the time. I have not done this in 2022. So now I'm going, because this is a new year, I'm going to be doing it the way I used to do it. Because once it's created, the kind of connection it gives me, everything becomes simple, become clear, and the certainty returns back. Any questions, any comments you may have? Okay, just as a refresher for us and for people who may not remember how to create the torsion field, I'm going to go over the details, okay? And then as a closing meditation, we will do the torsion field together once more to kind of like kick you, remind you of this habit or this part of the practice. So the Guardian Alliance of Light is a collective of being that exists in all dimensions of time and space. They are not in polarization, they are not dual, they are not battling. They exist in all dimensions, higher than us, in neutrality. And they come to us as an act of generosity, kindness, and love to offer us a shield, a torsion field, which is shaped like a giant donut in all directions, all around us, where we are in the center of the donut. They come in, the first one shows up, and the energy rises from the core of the earth, passing, counter-rotating, passing through a core, and rising up and going all the way into source. And then once it gets into source, it extends its petals out, filaments out, and wraps below itself and become completely self-sustained into a torsion field of light and protection and neutrality. This is the energy of the 3D guardians. Now, I have to tell you, although we say the first guardian show up, it's not one being. That first torsion field is 12 beings. Sorry, not 4, 12 beings in 4D who have achieved neutrality, and as an act of generosity, kindness, love, and protection, they are temporarily sharing unto you the neutrality that they know. And when you accept their offer, you take a deep breath, the torsion field gets created for you. And suddenly in 4D, you're now in neutrality. Then the axis above the torsion field that they created extends, and it attracts now the energy of the 5D beings, 12 of them as well, who are in neutrality, and the energy drop through the same axis, but in a higher dimension now. And they create, again, the axis drop through your core, this time rotating clockwise, passing through you, going through the bottom of your feet into the core of the earth. And on top of the first torsion field, they create a bigger torsion field, but rotating in the opposite direction. They are 5D, and they offer you their shield of light protection and neutrality. Then the axis at the bottom of your feet extends, and 12 guardians in 6 dimensions or in neutrality come in clockwise and beyond the dimensional torsion field in 5D, they come in clockwise and they begin to spin upward through your body, going into source, and create all around you an even bigger torsion field on top of the first 2 ones. Offering you protection, light, and neutrality. And the 7th dimensional beings, again, come from source, which would be the 4th guardian, and they begin to descend clockwise, spinning clockwise, going through the core of the earth. And when they arrive in the core of the earth, the filament extends and go all around you on top of all of the other torsion field, creating a torsion field of light protection and neutrality. And this process continues and repeats itself until 12 guardians create, like the Russian babushkas, 12 nested torsion field of light and protection around your core and your central axis, giving you protection, light, and neutrality. And once that occurs, you're now in source. Now, at the very end of the meditation, you have to observe the fact that there are 12 nested, counter-rotating axes that are spinning in your core. Each one of them at a different dimension. But they're occupying, the axis is occupying the same axis as yours. And at that point, you're in the throne room of God. You know that old saying that says, be still and know that I am God? At that point, that's where you are. And it's in that field, in that moment, that all kinds of personal, miraculous transformation can occur for you. And by the way, this is the state you're supposed to be in to safely allow positive mutation of your DNA. Therefore, it is something we should work on as a way to realign ourselves to that knowing and that remembrance. I hope the small journey down memory lane was able to help clarify for you how and what is, why we do the torsion field and why, and the importance of it. Any questions, any comments that you may have?
I'm going to jump in on this. My mind, I can't think of the name. When we do the monad reconstruction,
Yes.
that's not the word for it. I can't think of the program.
Static merger.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm just tying that to the 12 guardians on each of the 12 torsion fields. And it's the same, isn't it?
Yes, each one of your monadic, the crested over self of your monad exists in their own torsion field. And what happened is that when they send in a circle around you, they center to center, they overlap each other. Right? Center to center, they overlap each other. And what happened is that when it goes around in a circle, the filament, the axis and the filament that goes from each of them around you bends down to the center where you're standing. And they merge their axis into you.
So they are a part of the Guardian Alliance, so right?
Some of them may be, absolutely. And let me put it in a different way. We talked about the fact that the Guardian Alliance of Light exists in 4D and beyond. Why is there no Guardian Alliance of Light in 3D? It's because we are the members in training for that collective in 3D. It is up to us to learn how to be neutral in 3D and become a full-fledged member of the Guardian Alliance of Light.
Yeah, I think it must get easier to be neutral when you go up the ladder. Not too easy in 3D.
Well, you remember what I was saying before when I started the class by saying that there are days I feel I'm connected to my that universal self, and there are other days I feel very vulnerable and very insecure, and I don't have certainty anymore. So it fluctuates. It's like you're oscillating between two things. And it's part of the growth process because the whole planet is being put to an accelerant to flush out this, because we're masters of self-deceit. We could create a fake bubble and pretend that we are ascended and remain in that fake bubble. But what's happening cosmically, where the solar system is traveling now through it's cresting near the galactic equator crossing. And because of this, it's causing us to, it's no longer about us indulging ourselves, but it's about real work. And in the case that you're not really doing the work, the accelerant will expose it. And then you realize, you thought, oh my God, I thought I'm back here. Okay, so I need to do more work. I need to catch up. I need to cleanse. Now, given what I'm saying about the accelerant, it's exposing stuff, but the moment you begin to do the work moves much faster as well. Mm-hmm. What would take several incarnations will happen in months or a year. Mm-hmm. So that's the benefit, right?
Yeah.
So we're going to see ourselves in what may appear at the moment unfavorable light, but it's temporarily and it can change from few hours to to the next few hours. You might be in alignment one time and then something happened, a piece of news or some kind of information, and then something else is triggered. That's why I'm doing the torsion field now, because again, 12 breath multiple times a day to bring him back again into that alignment. Because when I'm there, everything becomes simple. Everything becomes clear. And I'm walking around the because okay, aside from your own personal benefit, the planet now, as an act of service, need more people in neutrality, in that kind of connection, to entrain them and remind them that this is where they should be. So we need to not only demonstrate it for ourselves, but also to help the rest of humanity move into that state. We will be better not only at having certainty and clarity for ourselves, but we will be able to also support others better, give better, love better, know when to say yes and when to say no, because a lot of time saying no is the right thing to do. Because the person has their own karma and their own process, and they have to hear the no in order for them to self-correct. Any other questions or comments? So if there are no questions or comments and we're clear about everything, I'm going to take you to extended torsion field creation. Now, typically it's 12 breaths. It doesn't take me even 7 or 8 minutes to do it. And after that, I sit in the afterglow for a while, if I can afford it with my schedule, and to allow myself to enjoy the rest that this provides me, the clarity and the rest. Let us take a 5-minute break. Go to the bathroom. This is going to be a 45-minute meditation. So you wanna make sure that you're good. Okay, 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into our lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you. And I let go. Let your mind and your heart sync with each other. And let your entire consciousness emanate from your upper chest as if you had eyes in that part of your body. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And notice what you notice. What sensations? Insights? and elevation. Is this creating for you? And the guardian alliance of light approach you, offering to give you their shields of light and protection, and a band of neutrality. If you are ready to accept this gift at this time, answer affirmatively. And let the energy of the first guardian enter from the core of the earth, counterclockwise, rising through the bottom of your feet, passing through you, exiting outside of your head and into souls outside of time and space, as the filament rotate all around you, creating a torsion field of light, protection, and neutrality. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the second guardian cascading down from source. Rotating clockwise, passing through you, moving through your entire body, dropping to the bottom of your feet, into the core of the earth, while the filaments wrap all around you, creating a torsion field of light, protection, and neutrality. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the third guardian, counter-rotating, moving through your body, passing through you, exiting outside of your head, and going into source while creating all around you. The torsion field of light protection and neutrality. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the fourth guardian, cascading down from source, rotating clockwise, passing through you, and dropping through the bottom of your feet into the core of the earth, and the filaments wrap all around you, creating the torsion field of light protection and neutrality. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the fifth guardian coming from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, moving through your central axis and core, exiting outside of your head, and going into source as the axis wrap all around you, creating a torsion field of light and protection and neutrality. The axis at the top of your head extends and it attracts now the energy of the sixth guardian, cascading down from source, clockwise, moving through your central axis, passing through your body, and into the core of the earth, while the filaments wrap all around you, creating the torsion field of light and protection and a band of neutrality. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the seventh guardian, coming in from the core of the earth, counter-rotating, passing through your entire central axis, moving through you, exiting outside of your head, and releasing into source, while the filaments wrap all around you, creating a torsion field of light, protection, and neutrality. The axis at the top of your head extends. And it attracts now the energy of the eighth guardian, cascading down from souls, moving through your entire central axis and core, exiting at the bottom of your feet, and dropping into the very core of the earth, while the filaments wrap all around you, creating a torsion field of light and protection and a band of neutrality. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the ninth guardian. Counter rotating as it enters from the core of the earth, passing through your entire body, moving through you, exiting outside of your head, and let it all be released into source, while the filament all around you create a torsion field of light protection and neutrality. The axis at the top of your head extends, and it attracts now the energy of the 10th guardian cascading down from source, rotating clockwise, moving into the top of your head, passing through you, and dropping into the bottom of your feet, into the core of the earth, while creating a torsion field of light protection and neutrality. The axis at the bottom of your feet extends and it attracts now the energy of the 11th guardian coming in from the core of the earth, rotating counterclockwise, passing through the bottom of your feet, extending all the way out into source, while the filaments begin to bend around you, creating the torsion field of light and protection and a band of neutrality. The axis at the top of your head extends and it creates now a clockwise rotation coming from source, cascading to the top of your head, moving through your body, and dropping into the core of the earth while creating all around you. The torsion field of light and protection, and a band of neutrality. Observe the 12 counter-rotating axes that are spinning in your core. In the core of the vast continents, I am at rest. I am at peace. And may infinity times infinity and the 12 torsion field of light, protection, and neutrality of the Guardian Alliance of Light be created around every cell in my entire body. May my entire physical vessel and all aspects of my consciousness in all dimensions of time and space rest in neutrality. Let all emotional attachments that exist in me and in my circle of influence being trained into this rest and neutrality. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, open your eyes.
Thank you, Pierre. That really felt good. Very good.
Thank you. That was helpful, Pierre. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I also wanted to remind you that during that kind of connection, you may have visions, you may have insight, you may see things. There are moments while you're doing this, it would appear that you don't know where you are. You lose grip on this reality. And one of the things that I do, particularly since I'm not playing new music and I'm not hearing my own recording, you're gonna not remember where you are. I count with my finger. First guardian, second guardian, I move my finger so I can remember where I am. That might be also helpful for you if you're trying to do 12 breath while you're on the train or subway walking, because you're not going to remember which guardian you were at.
Mhm, mhm.
Any other comments or questions that you may have? I want to thank all of you for listening to me tonight. I love you so much, family. And I want to thank everyone on Patreon that's listening to us. Thank you for your support. For those of you who are listening to us on YouTube, like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with everyone else. I love you so much, and I'll talk to you next week. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you, Pierre.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.